Happening now on a special edition of Grid tonight. The NTT IndyCar Series' first day of practice for the 107th running of the Indianapolis 500 got canceled due to rain. No worries though, there's still a lot of IndyCar to discuss, previewing what should be an intriguing month of May. Also, Formula One's weekend at Imola is off to an unpredictable start, and at the end of the show, we'll talk about Mother Nature playing a role before the cars even get on the track for the Emilia Romagna Grand Prix. So, special hello to all our viewers watching here in the United States and around the world. Welcome to Grid Tonight, your weekly motorsports news program. I'm Kobe Lambert from the Podium Finish, and with me is Joshua Burch. We encourage everyone to comment in the chat below and ask any questions you may have. So, Josh, we know nothing happened today on the track, but we still have a lot of topics to discuss, entering what many call the most wonderful time of the year. I'm not talking about Christmas. I'm talking about motorsports Christmas.
Well, today was not a wonderful day at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. A total washout as there was zero action on the track. We got teased for a brief moment as well in the afternoon session with the track drying coming to an end as well. People starting to show up on pit lane as well. Everything was getting ready. And right before teams could get any installation lab sorted as well, and we got the green flag ready. We were literally 2 minutes away from getting the track going green. Raindrops started to fall again, and it ended day one of practice. It's not ideal losing a full day, but we can't control the weather. Thankfully, the teams had one full day of running last month at the IMS Open test. The second day, coincidentally, got rained off too as well. So if we look back at the open test results as well, it was Team Penske's Joseph Newgarden who was fastest at 227.686 miles an hour. That was then followed as well by Connor Daly, Scott Dixon, Kyle Kirkwood, and Takuma Sato in fifth. And after the Chevrolet from Penske, that's an Ed Carpenter Racing Chevrolet, by the way, as well. The two Chip Ganassi Racing Hondas and one Honda from Andretti Autosport as well. The usual suspects and the favourites at the front as well. Now, the teams that struggled were Rahal Lederman Racing. Graham Rahal was the fastest in the 22nd position as well. 23rd position from the fourth car team. For the month of May, plus AJ Foyt Racing and Junkers Hollinger Racing as well didn't show a lot of speed. And as you can see, we have 34 cars entered trying to make the field of 33. So Bump Day is back. Now, the 34th team on the entry who didn't run the open test last month because they were still getting this Indy 500 program ready is Able Motorsports, a regular in the Indy NXT series. They field two Indy NXT entries for Jacob Abel and Colin Camisley as well. But just quickly at the end, for the 500, they have R.C. Enerson as their driver who got bumped from the field in 2021 when he drove for Top Gun Racing. Now, despite many hours of practice remaining before the race as well, how much does missing a day of practice impact a new team like Able Motorsports?
I think missing a full day of practice is huge for Able Motorsports. This is truly your worst nightmare when you're a new team to the NTT IndyCar Series. They're not strangers to the style of racing. Of course, Josh, as you mentioned, they're running the Indy Next Series. They've been doing a really good job to start this season, seeing a lot of improvement from that team, especially from their lead driver, Jacob Abel. But moving into the NTT IndyCar Series, that's a different animal within itself. And this team, what they need is they need track time. They need to go out there, run the install lab, make sure the car's running well. And as we like to say during the month of May, each day gonna have to go out there and turn up the wick, to try to set a really good, respectable qualifying pace out of the 34 cars. This is probably the one team that a lot of people would probably predict that's going to get bumped from the field. And R.C. Anderson, he also mentioned 2021, he was with Top Gun Racing, another new team to the IndyCar series at the time. Unfortunately, it just didn't work out for them. They didn't have the speed. Anderson got bumped. I'm sure R.C. Anderson doesn't want to come back to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway and get bumped for a second time. So if I'm Able Motorsports, I certainly have to feel really frustrated missing the whole day on Tuesday. But Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then Saturday when the qualifying starts, they're really going to have to hit the ground running. They're going to have to completely maximize all of their time because with being a new team, their time cannot be wasted at all.
And the important thing as well with losing today, it was part of the special opening day tradition at Indianapolis, where we've got to make sure everybody is match fit. So practice 1 takes part for 2 hours, and then we have the lunch break. And then for 2 hours after that, we hold the refreshers course as well and rookie orientation. So anybody who didn't take part in last year's Indy 500 gets a chance to head out there and make sure they are running at a consistent speed over a 4-lap average. It's the same also for the rookies. RC Ennison has got to go through that because he did take part in 2021's practice and qualifying, got bumped and didn't take part in the race. So technically, he's still a rookie and has to go through the RC program as well. We'll see that tomorrow when the schedule gets reorganized as well. So we're going to see install laps for 15 minutes of all cars. Then we'll see RC Anderson heading out there as well to see if he can get up there at maximum time, as well as all the rookies that had to take part doing their install laps. And then from noon Eastern tomorrow, we'll have the full practice session as well. So day 2 effectively becomes day 1, and a very, very busy, compact schedule as well. No lunch break, which is slightly annoying for us journalists, which means we're in the commentary box not just for 6 hours, but for 8 hours. It's going to be a very long day tomorrow, so I apologize if my voice goes tomorrow. It's already on its way out now. Now, flying back on Sunday's Grid Live wrap-up, we said our McLaren is entering the Indy 500 with plenty of momentum. All 3 of their cars finished in the top 5 at the GMR Grand Prix as well. The last time we were on an oval at Texas Motor Speedway, the same 3, Felix Rosenqvist, Pato O'Ward and Alexander Rossi, all qualified in the top 5. Now they bring a 4th car for the Indy 500 with Tony Kanaan, who's running in what is expected to be his final Indy 500 and last time competing in IndyCar overall. And also, we know that from what he had in his interview with NBC, that he is sacrificing some of his practice time tomorrow in order to change the car setup to better help his teammates as well. So, a question for you, Kobe. Given all the momentum they have, is our McLaren the team to beat in the 500?
Yeah, it really seems like they're the team to beat right now. It's amazing to see how well this team is performing right now, and how everything's been really going extremely well for them. I know the GMR Grand Prix was quite successful, as you mentioned. All of their cars finishing in the top 5 race couldn't have gone better for them. But looking back at the oval race that we had earlier this year at Texas Motor Speedway, all 3 of their cars were bullets. Unfortunately, Alexander Rossi got caught up in the incident on pit road that for some reason it seems like people are still talking about with Rossi and Kyle Kirkwood. Then Felix Rosenqvist got up into the marbles and end up crashing. And Pato O'Ward, oh man, I thought he was going to win that race. That was such a dominant effort before a caution changed everything. Pato O'Ward had just about lapped the entire field minus Joseph Newgarden. That was one of the most dominant efforts I've ever seen in an IndyCar oval race. So we know Pato O'Ward certainly going to be good. And if you're looking at the performance that they had in the GMR Grand Prix and thinking back to Texas and last year's race, because Aaron McLaren was right in the hunt there. Pato O'Ward was up there battling Marcus Ericsson in the closing laps and Felix Rosenqvist as well. It would not surprise me to see Aaron McLaren in the hunt to win this year's Indy 500 as well.
And what a journey they've had as well, getting to the 500. It all started back in 2017 with Fernando Alonso coming here as well, teaming up at that time as well. It was still under a McLaren car, but they partnered with Andretti. And then they came back a few years later as well. And of course, Kobe, they got bumped. Alonso crashed, destroyed the main car that McLaren built. They had their customer backup car, but it never quite got back up to speed. So what's been your opinion on the growth of McLaren in IndyCar? Because they came in, they partnered with Arrow Schmidt-Peterson as well. They became Arrow McLaren now after buying full control. Have they sort of done it the right way and developed? And have they been really bruised along the way? They've had to fight for this effectively to get into a competitive position. Have they earned their spot to be Indy 500 winners? And if they do get the pole or the win, are we all going to be like, Yes, that's it. That's the grit and determination we like to see in the sport.
I know one thing. I'd rather be on the IndyCar side of things for McLaren than the Formula One side right now, which is not going well at all. So the Aero McLaren is definitely the pride and joy of the McLaren brand right now. And I think they did it the right way the second time. The first time they did it, try to go on their own as McLaren Racing. And then they also had that technical partnership with Carlin Racing, who was also a back marker in the IndyCar series. And maybe it's not a good idea to, like, no offense to Carlin Racing, but maybe it's not a good idea to have a technical alliance with an IndyCar team that is not running up front themselves. And I think that's where McLaren went wrong. I understand they wanted to try to come in and do it on their own, but although mighty McLaren has the big Formula One program, just trying to come into the NTT IndyCar series is not an easy thing to do at all. And they found out the hard way with Kyle Kaiser in Hunko's Hollinger Racing, end up bumping them from the field. I think that was a very humbling moment for McLaren. I have a feeling when they tried to do it on their own, a lot of people felt arrogance coming in, like, we're from Formula One, we're going to come in and we're going to do this and be competitive. And then they struggled all month long. And remember, I believe Alonso had a spin on the pit lane in practice as well, and then the drama about what color of orange are we gonna paint the car and all of that. It was just a big colossal disaster. But once McLaren bought into the Smith-Peterson team and got that structured, I think that's where things started to go a lot better for them. They got the drivers they want. They got a structure, have a whole bunch of talent, and they seem to have the drivers paired with the right people right now. I certainly think that Aero McLaren has done a lot of great things, and like I said, it would not surprise me if they're in contention to win the 500. It wouldn't surprise me if we see at least one McLaren on the front row, or at least two in the Firestone Fast Six and all of that. I really do think that momentum is on their side, but we're not going to crown McLaren yet. We have to see how the on-track action goes later this week.
Indeed, and I'm going to be keeping a close eye on Pagenaud Ward as well, somebody who I think could have a shot at the 500 as well. Add to that, Romain Grosjean could be up there as well. Everyone's been talking about that he could win it, but don't forget, this is only Grosjean's, second time on an oval? So a little bit closing up there for the 500. Coming up to it as well, but we'll see if the Phoenix can get up there to the top. Now, one team looking to recreate some month of May magic is Meyer-Shank Racing as well. Nothing has gone their way in IndyCar this year. Helio Castroneves and Simon Pagenaud are struggling badly. The only highlight was a top 10 at Texas for Castroneves, who has finished outside of the top 20 in all the other races this season so far. Now, Pagenaud's best finish was 15th place at Long Beach, and he's 23rd in the points, while Castroneves is in 20th. Seems like everything's going wrong this year for Meyer-Shank Racing across quite a lot of its racing divisions, but 2023, as we've been saying, has been a disappointment so far in IndyCar for them. 17th and 19th fastest at the open test. Can they rebound in a race that has in the past been very good to them?
I will say I'm actually more surprised by Simon Pagenaud's struggles than Helio Castroneves. It seemed like Helio's only real legitimate chance to win nowadays is the Indy 500. While you would expect, Simon Pagenaud still has a lot more left in the tank overall when you're looking at oval, street courses, and road courses. But across the board, this team has really, really struggled this year. It seems like they've taken a huge step back, and I just can't quite put my finger on what's going on with Meyer-Shank Racing. To see Simon Pagenaud, who just won the Indianapolis 500 several years ago, and feeling all the glory that it is to win the greatest spectacle in racing, and now to be struggling and outside of the top 20 in points. That's really uncharacteristic for Simon Pagenaud. Certainly been a really frustrating season across the board. It hasn't really been anything to smile about. Yeah, it was great that Ella got that top 10 at Texas Motor Speedway, but outside of that, there's been really nothing to celebrate at all. Just a whole bunch of struggles, errors, and just a whole bunch of frustrating things happening. And you would think, coming to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, a track that's been, really, really kind to them over the years, and then looking at where they were at the open test, 17th and 19th, that really doesn't inspire a lot of confidence to me. But who knows? I'm sure the teams learned a lot from that one day of running they got in April, make some changes to the setup. Maybe Meyer Shank will hit the sweet spot and give Elio Castroneves and Simon Pagenaud a chance to have their best races of the season.
Yeah, let's start also with a quick thing about Colton Herta as well. Comes in for yet another Indianapolis 500 attempt, this time without his father, Brian Herta, not his crew chief at the moment as well. They're still trying to chase up on the story as if he's going to be returning, but he certainly wasn't on the pit call for Colton at the road course event on Saturday, and he wasn't here today for the beginning of the 500. But Colton Herta, somebody who's won on the road course, but has had pole, I believe, as well for the 500, but never has able to clinch it over the 500 miles. Comes in a bit refocused this year as well. But Kobe, a quick question to you about this. Is Colton Herta got the mentality to take it for 500 miles and win the race? Is he ready to get a 500 win, or is he still a couple of years away?
And I also wanted to point out that Colton Herta has never won the pole for the Indy 500, but he started on the front row in 2021. He qualified second. Yeah, but the Indy 500 has been a really frustrating event for Colton Herta. His first start was in 2019, finished dead last in that one. 2020, 8th place. 2021, 16th place. And then last year, he finished a disappointing 30th place, which absolutely killed his title hopes. And remember, I believe it was on Carb Day where Colton Herta had that scary flip, and then it damaged the car, and then the crew got the car repaired and ready for the 500. But it was just a problem right from the start. And Carb Day is one of the worst days you can crash because you don't have another day where you can go out and shake it down and fill it. So his shakedown was the actual race itself. The car was off all race long. He was really slow. There was really nothing that Colton Herta could do. So basically, that crash on Friday ended his Indy 500 right then and there. And in terms of can Colton Herta go out there and win the Indy 500 this year? To be honest, I'm actually not so sure if he can do that right now. I'm looking at his teammate Kyle Kirkwood, who might have a better chance to do that, especially looking at the impressive speed he showed during the open test last month. I feel like Colton Herta, we like to hype him up a lot as someone we want to see from America who's in Formula One. But looking at Colton Herta in the IndyCar series, I think there's a lot of talent there, but I think he needs to rein it in a little bit because we've seen a lot of mistakes over the years.
Yeah, thanks for correcting me on that as well. It was so long ago, I forgot he never had the pole position. He was second on the grid. He went out, got the pole, but then somebody beat him straight ahead as well. So great correction there. Thank you, Kobe. But yeah, I think I've got my fingers crossed for him as well. I really hope he can do well. And we'll be keeping an eye on him. And yeah, Herta's crash last year, actually. I was in the commentary box. I think he was the only crash in the practice sessions throughout the entire week that we ran. And it happened on Carb Day, as you said as well. So that was a surprise in the final practice session. We went completely okay. We had a few cars break down and that lot, but in terms of big accidents, he was the only one last year until we got to
I actually think we had one more accident. I think it was David Malukas and Santino Ferrucci, if my memory serves correct. I think Malukas and Ferrucci came together last year and tore Malukas' car, and then they had to make repairs to the 18. But don't quote me on that. But my muscle memory started kicking in, and that's what my brain is saying.
Yeah. This time we've got nothing to talk about. We're trying to get everything engaged from last year and years before. Just quickly, before we return to the basic little script we've got here as well, Romain Grosjean, everybody's been going in as well saying, is he ready for the 500 victory as well? He himself has been cashing in on it as well. You saw how angry he got as well. In qualifying at the road course as well, shouting with the mechanics in pit lane in front of all of the cameras as well. He's animated. He's passionate about it as well. He wants to go all out. Can that 28 squad deliver him up there? Can they work together in this week to get a car ready for the pole run and then take it for 500 miles? Is it the pomp and circumstance of the people saying, oh yeah, he's going to win it, he's going to look good? Are the people's expectations higher than what the reality is for Romain Grosjean?
Looking at the season Grosjean's had, he's had a really good season. He's right in the thick of the championship. battle. If it hadn't been for the season opening Firestone Grand Prix at St. Pete, where him and McLaughlin got together, and then he was running up in the top 5 at the end of Texas until he ended up crashing out of that, he'd probably be the championship points leader right now, because threw away some really valuable points there. I think we're seeing a massive improvement from Roman Grosjean. This is the Roman Grosjean I expected to see last year at Andretti Autosport, and last year, obviously a big disappointment. This year's a contract year for him, and Michael Andretti has hinted that that a deal is more than likely going to get done for him to get a contract extension to stay in that number 28 DHL Honda. And looking at his performance at Texas Motor Speedway, I think that inspires a lot of confidence. It shows you that Roman Grosjean has certainly learned a lot on the oval. I know he hasn't made many oval starts, but it really seems like it's truly starting to come to him at this point. And you bring up after qualifying last week, I remember seeing him all animated, fired up, and angry. It's because every time we've been to the IMS road course so far, that seems like a one that he would circle on his calendar, because he's really, really good at this racetrack. Like we see Christian Lundgaard from Ray Hall, Letterman, Lanigan Racing. Grosjean felt like all the momentum that he had, coming off a second place finish at Long Beach, second place finish at Barber. He really felt like that this was going to be the one track where he could go out there and finally get his maiden IndyCar victory. But for some reason in qualifying, the team completely missed the setup. Had a really disappointing qualifying down in the pack, because he had higher expectations, and I think rightfully so. We should all have higher expectations of Grosjean, because he looks like a driver who can really take the fight to the top drivers in the NTT IndyCar Series for this year's championship. And in regards to winning Indy 500, we've seen some surprise winners before. The Andretti Autosport always brings fast Hondas to this racetrack, so it would not surprise me to see Roman Grosjean in a pole shootout at the end. I remember last year he was like, I remember his eyes were so wide going that fast, over 230 miles per hour, and he was like, oh my goodness, that was like really, really, really fast. Yeah, but overall, I think Grosjean could have a really good month of May.
The fingers are crossed, and we're all rooting for him as well. We'll see how he gets on tomorrow when the cars hit the track for the first time. Now, a team that always shows up to the Indy 500 as a one-off is Dreyer and Ryan Bold Racing as well. Now, they've overhauled their driver lineup from last year, with Santino Ferrucci getting a full-time IndyCar seat with AJ Foyt Racing as well. Captain America replaces him in this Indy-only seat. Ryan Hunter-Reay is back at the Speedway in the number 23 Chevrolet. Sage Karam is out of the number 24 Chevrolet. The newest driver slotting into that seat is Stefan Wilson as well, brother, of course, to the late, great Justin Wilson as well. And Wilson and Ryan Hunter-Reay, or RHR, as he's more commonly known as well, in the IndyCar paddock, were 6th and 12th fastest at the open test, respectively, as well. Now, could Dreyer and Ryan Bold surprise a lot of people this month, Kobe, as well? I've certainly got my fingers crossed. I mean, Wilson's led the 500 before, and Ryan Hunter-Reay's won it before.
Well, I would say Dreyer and Ryan Bold's performances at the open test last month is certainly a lot more inspiring than what we saw from Myers Shank Racing, and a small team like Dreyer and Ryan Bold. They give everything to the month of May. They put their heart and soul into this one race each year, and they always have really good people in this program and bring fast cars for the race. And in the media, we really like seeing these underdog feel good type of stories. So I think they could surprise a lot of people based on the speed that we've seen in Josh. You brought up a really good point about Stefan and Wilson. It was just a few years ago he was out front leading the Indy 500, and we're thinking that Wilson might have a chance to potentially win this race. And then Ryan Hunter-Reay, the champion of the IndyCar Series and champion of this race, the Indy 500. I think it's really good to have that caliber driver in that program. I think that Ryan Hunter-Reay's presence alone is going to make Dreyer and Ryan Bold way better. And Stefan Wilson, getting in a really solid seat this year. I think he could also have a good run as well. I know Stefan's had some bad luck in the Indy 500, despite those almost really good moments. I think this is certainly a team that we're gonna have to pay attention to see if the speed from the open test in April wasn't just a fluke.
Absolutely, and everything's going to be fingers crossed that tomorrow we can have a dry day and get a full load of testing in for the Indianapolis 500 in 2023. You can watch it all here on JB Motorsports, my YouTube channel, where I'll be covering the whole day. USRN has got the call as well, and then at the same time tomorrow you can join us for all of the action, wrapping up another hopeful great day here on the Grid Network with our special show. And just a reminder that Wednesday's edition is going to be starting at 6:30 p.m. Eastern, 30 minutes later as well than normally billed, because the session ends at 6. We need at least half an hour to get ourselves prepared and, freshen up for television as well. Kobe?
Yeah, before closing out the show, we wanted to touch on a developing story from Imola. The Emilia Romagna region of Italy has faced impacts from a significant amount of rainfall that's caused significant flooding. We've already seen photos of it on social media, and the locals have been hit hard. Definitely going to keep all of the people in the Emilia Romagna region in our thoughts. We've seen some really, really devastating photos there. And a red alert weather warning has been put in effect for this particular region. Motorsports meteorologist Aaron Studwell says this means a risk of high winds, downpours, thunderstorms, flooding, damaged infrastructure, and landslides. So it could be a very long week depending on what happens. With rain totals continuing to add up, some are concerned that the Grand Prix may not even take place. As a precautionary measure, the Formula One paddock at Imola has been evacuated because the Santerno River next to the circuit is continuing to rise. Josh, how could the flooding impact the weekend schedule? What have you been hearing in regards to F1's contingency plans?
Well, it seems that all my conversations today, Kobe, have been about rain as well. It's getting a bit boring. I'll probably be dreaming of floods this evening as well. Right, apart from IndyCar, which has been rained out, what I've been hearing here today is the fact that we've got 3 options for this weekend. 1, it all goes ahead as normal. 2, we have a reduced weekend where Saturday and Sunday become a 2-day event. And 3, the whole thing gets cancelled before we even attempt to go out for practice. Now, the likelihood scenario is that the track has been evacuated, as you said, but that's only been a suggestion to the team. They've come out, they've left early as well. Tomorrow, there was a statement to all the teams, and it reads, teams have been told not to attend the circuit tomorrow until further notice, and there will be a meeting of the relevant authorities tomorrow morning as well. So that'll be the FIA, the circuit officials, and the local police force as well, to make sure that everything is okay as well, and hopefully they can go back into the circuit. The weather warning is due to pass by Thursday as well, then with rain expected across Friday, Saturday and Sunday as well, with it being very heavy during qualifying and the race Saturday and Sunday. Now, in terms of the fact if the track floods, it will get away quite quickly because the water will drain away back into the river. The river's literally alongside the pit lane exit here as well, so it's right behind the wall at Tambirello, so it will go back to return to the water. It's how it always goes. But the big worry is not if the track's going to be dry, is if the track floods, it could destroy the cables that control the FIA sensors, the TV camera cables, and everything as well that's sort of bedding underneath the track grounds as well. So if that is damaged, or any of that's damaged, then we can't go racing as well. So fingers crossed everything is going to be okay. We'll keep monitoring the situation. All we know at the moment is that some Alpine mechanics who stay in the local village at Emilia Romagna as well, they have now moved to a different hotel as well, but they're the setup mechanics. They'll be leaving anyway before the takedown. The normal engineers and everything and all the drivers, they're staying at a different hotel. They haven't had to move. So we'll keep up to date with all this story. Fingers crossed this race weekend is going to go ahead. Now, in order to say that one of those 3 reasons, option 1, which was the cancellation of the whole thing, we would be told on Thursday afternoon if the race is going to be cancelled. Option 2, we go to a Saturday-Sunday format. In that format, which is in the rules after what happened at the Eiffel Grand Prix in 2020, and of course then we actually had a 2-day format in Imola back in 2020 as well. We would have a single hours of practice on Saturday before going into qualifying, and Sunday would be the race as normal. In terms of the support series, Saturday would become about a 15-minute practice followed by a 30-minute qualifying for the F3, F2 and Porsche Super Cups. And then on Sunday in the morning, we would have the sprint races, followed then by the Porsche Super Cup, then the Formula 1, and then in the afternoon we'll have the Formula 3 and the Formula 2 races as well in order to try and get the weekend back. Both, however, the sprint and feature races for Formula 3 and Formula 2 would run under a reduced lap format, just so that we can get the points in as well. But that's the option for a 2-day format as well that they've got operational to them in case we lose Friday, which I know for Formula 1, Friday just has the practice sessions, but it also houses the Porsche Super Cup, F2 and F3 qualifying sessions to set the grid for the race on Saturday and Sunday. So that needs to be taken into account as well. So it's a busy weekend, but and option 3, of course, as I said, it all goes to plan as normal. But it's going to be a very busy week where they're watching, and it feels like today I've been like my friend Abby Dewhurst, who's a weather reporter for BBC. I've been a meteorologist. I want to return to be a commentator tomorrow, ASAP.
Yeah, we certainly hope tomorrow doesn't have any rain in the forecast. Yeah, Josh, I totally echo everything you're saying. Yeah, I want to get back to talking about motorsports based on what happens on the track, and not talking about the weather, because talking about rain making me sleepy. And after this, I'll take a nap. And with that said, we're out of time for the night. So taking a look at our upcoming schedule, tomorrow night, as Josh said, same time, a regular Grid Tonight show with Indy 500 practice recap and more motorsports news. Friday morning, 9 a.m. Eastern, Women in Motorsports. Saturday, noon Eastern, Grid Live pre-race. Sunday, also at noon, we'll recap the Formula 1 Emilia Romagna Grand Prix, assuming it goes on. And then the Supercars races from Tasmania. Monday, 7 p.m. Eastern time, Grid Live Encore. Since IndyCar has brought back the Monday practice session, we'll do an Indy 500 practice recap with Ben Snyder, Brandon Crossland, and whoever else is going to be on the Encore show. There'll also be highlights from the big NASCAR action at North Woodsboro Speedway on All-Star Weekend and much more. And please be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you for helping us reach the milestone of 600 subscribers. Now help us reach our new goal of 700 subscribers on the road to 1,000. And here's a special programming note. On Sunday, May 28th at 11 a.m. Eastern time, don't miss our special preview show for the 107th running of the Indianapolis 500. Don't forget to hit the bell icon to get the notifications and follow all our social media platforms, and visit gridranking.com. Take 5 minutes after our show to invest in the Grid Network through Patreon. Join Colin, Mark, DeShow, Robin, and David and invest in each month in the Grid Network. We encourage you to join the amazing group of people who keep us on the air. Once we hit $500 per month, we can start expanding our coverage, adding new members to the team, have an increased presence on site covering the races from the track, and more content. Link in the video description below. Also, if you want to do a one-time donation, click on the link to buy me a coffee. You can get your name on the board and invest as much as you want, and consider buying a specific on-air personality a cup of coffee, and they'll thank you right here on the air. For Joshua Burch, I'm Cubby Lambert from the Podium Finish. Thank you all for watching. We'll see you again on Wednesday night.
Thank you for watching us right here on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe and check out some of our other videos, including Life on the Grid, where we interview folks from the motorsports industry. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.